Hi everyone, my name is Kirill Losev. I'm usually an IT guy working with infrastructure and security, not a public speaker. But my team kept asking me to talk about how we use KasperskyOS to build a better future for ourselves. I work for R-Pharm Group, which specializes in research and development of drug production, laboratory equipment, and medical equipment. Over the last 20 years, we've acquired a large number of representative offices and factories, some of which we built from scratch. Some were adapted to meet our needs. But every time we gained valuable new experiences. Here we've heard how IACS, Industrial Automation and Control System, are developed separately from IT, which was our first experience. We decided to make IACS part of our IT team and use all the most modern technology we have and all the modern methods of security management. But the reality turned out not so bright. The operation team said, let's make IT a part of production. And as usual, you look for happiness. And you end up learning lessons. Then you think, right, this is happiness. But no, again, it's another lesson. So now IT is designing automated IACS based on production requirements, and production handles exploitation on its own. Like right now, for example, we were asked to design a new factory here in Sochi, closer to the Sirius Scientific and Technical Center. And some of the demands were to take into account that computer components age much faster than the production line. So there are difficulties with replacement after maybe 5 to 10 years. Control software might be written in some crazy way, for example, like for Windows XP. Or the supplier country can all of a sudden be sanctioned and just disappear, and you are left with equipment as is. Also keep in mind that our industry is heavily regulated. And it's important for us to have repeatable, identical results. So all technological processes are described from start to finish in documents, including all the software and hardware versions, everything, even air humidity and memory timings. So any changes to any component specified in the documentation begs the question, will this affect production processes? Any change mean a stop in production? Revalidation, checking if everything is okay. It's easy to see why. We want to be sure the next batch of vaccines won't change anything in your DNA. The response is simple. Let's untangle these parts and use virtualization. For IT, it's standard free. But for PCS, it turned out to be something new. We started to virtualize all the equipment connected to our lines, and sometimes it was crazy. There's one virtual machine on a server with forwarded ports just for control. However, this makes it possible to change external components because nothing changes for the virtual machine. Well, nothing changes if you don't include requirements for air humidity, for example. Virtualization also helped in the sense that we can experiment with updates without affecting production because you made a clone and you're on your way. Everything is good except one thing. How do you use it? It's a virtual machine, but our users aren't exactly virtual. In America, there's Elon Musk. He's got robots and a neural network. But we've got a robot named Fedor, who, judging by the photos, isn't up to the job yet. If we use a workstation as a means of connection to virtualization, we get the classic stack of problems that are in the classical threat model with their classical consequences. Best case scenario is that it's just an encryptor. But it can also be something undocumented, a change in a technological process that's unclear how to resolve. It's certainly possible to protect workstation and limit access, manage updates, rely on antivirus, but all this requires licenses, a team of engineers who will service it all plus some bureaucracy too. Because you'll need to document everything that happens, that everything is happening as it should. You might say you can just use ready-made solutions and rely on thin clients, but for example, Wise, starting with version 9, requires a subscription that's impossible considering sanctions. If we add that in the latest versions, they're going to switch to Microsoft libraries, it's completely unclear how we can make it work with all our legal requirements. But we really liked thin clients with KasperskyOS. Firstly, it's about security at its core. While Microsoft was putting antivirus in its operating system, Kaspersky was putting an operating system in its antivirus. It's awesome, and most of the problems we had with the classic stack just disappeared. It's also a single client with centralized control. That means we can use thin clients for production and in offices and other places. Plus, you get a pretty much universal workplace. You connect with your login and password to the laboratory station or office computer depending on your permissions and position. You can work in the laboratory, including with office software. Also, I can't help but mention the awesome tech support, and the speed of development is absolutely amazing, so thanks a lot for that. Over the last year, we got almost all the features we requested, which is really cool. Now we're ready to go into mass production. This is a company from Russia, so we know they won't suddenly abandon us. And there is no need to worry about sanctions. It also just looks good. They made such a nice interface, a whole nice product that's really great to use, and we took full advantage of it. For us, using thin clients on Kaspersky turned out that for us it significantly reduces the cost of administration because the unified system, because the operating system solves most of our problems with classic threats. Because these thin clients comply with all the standards and requirements, so there's no real trouble with validation. Finally, it's import substitution. All in all, while this doesn't solve every issue we have, it's still a positive experience. So thank you very much for that. That's it for me.